Oops. Welcome. Yes, and a dramatic start to the show it is. Hello, Jim. Welcome, everybody. My name is Margaret Pinard. I'm a historical fiction and fantasy author, and we've got a very fun topic for today, but we may be interrupted by dramatic thunderclaps from outside. They're very rare in Portland, Oregon, and we've got a few sprinkles, but lots of thunder. Can you hear that? Wow. I feel like I'm in the house next to Mary Poppins where the guy is like shooting off cannons on the top of the roof. All right, well, that notwithstanding, we're going to proceed. I just wanted to introduce the topic today. We're going to be talking about the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do, abbreviated to HRCYED. This is a reading challenge that was just started a couple weeks ago by Qwordy Q. That is an AuthorTube channel run by Stephanie Gillis, fellow indie author, and I'm very excited to talk about it. It's a year-long readathon. There are 25 prompts. It's very involved, and I'm going to tell you why I'm getting involved with such a hard reading challenge in just a second. So I'm going to introduce Stephanie because I think she's pretty cool. So Stephanie Gillis, author-tuber. The thing that sets her apart, and the reason why I hadn't watched her videos for a long time, is because she has a bird who guest hosts, I guess, many of her videos. And can you guys hear that? Anyway, the bird was very distracting to me, and I couldn't really like focus on the topics. But we're putting that aside because this is a monumental effort that she's doing, and I really love where her heart is in this reading challenge. So I'm paying attention. It's especially indie author focused and especially queer community focused. So I recognize that when I do targeted readathons, etc., it's usually more focused on race and class and environment issues. And so having this indie author and queer community stuff is like adding in all the things that I love that I just don't always see or, focus or prioritize. So it's good to be reminded that I need to diversify in different directions sometimes and, stretch this way, stretch that way. Speaking of which, I wore my special favorite shirt because of the LGBTQ love. This is the Wayward Bakery shirt that they made for Pride last year. And it is both my favorite bakery in Los Osos, California, and a lovely group of people who support LGBTQ stuff. So there we go. The links, I have a definite order of operations, and I didn't want to forget. So I have links to Stephanie's site. She writes fantasy, which you will see because she has made the Spiffbo competition one of her prompts. So I will let you explore the Ashport archives. She has a great not blurb, back cover copy, like drawing in. So that looks very exciting. And also, because this is such a great amount of work, I'm putting her Ko-fi in there. It's in my description as well in case you're watching this on the replay, but always good to support an indie author. So I'm giving you that opportunity very easily right now. So I'm just gonna say hello to the people in the chat. We've got a Jim, we've got an Anita, hello. We've got a Melissa who's also sprinting. Hey Melissa. Yeah, crazy, right? I think it's done now because it was just supposed to be like a sprinkle. And it's gonna be back up to 85. So we're getting like Oklahoma weather. So thanks, Melissa, for sending this. Jim says, I saw Qwordy's video. That challenge looks too challenging for me. Well, I'll take you through the quick version. I'm going to be highlighting how I'm thinking it through and what I'm focusing on, what I'm leaving till later. So that's going to be the bulk of this video today. And then we've got Stephanie's site. So there's the website and the Ko-fi in case you are able to help out a fellow indie author. Yay! And Anita says, if anyone needs a Spiffbo rec, I have tons. Yes. So I was getting it confused with SPS HBO, which I think is a spinoff for science fiction. But Rachel, RK Stumbling Bear, set me straight. And so now I know that they're related, but not the same. And there's actually a great website, not the original website, which is a little harder to navigate to see previous years besides like what's happening in the moment. But because the prompt is dealing with not finalists and not winners, someone has made like a better organized site for seeing everyone and being able to choose not the winners, not the finalists. But yes, Anita has Rex. So there's a Discord and there's like other sites and stuff. I'll touch on that a little bit later when I go through that. But thank you. Melissa says, I'm so sorry for anyone experiencing Oklahoma weather. I know. And our weather has been more Portland-like the past few days. So genuinely, thank you for sending that to us. So apparently we swapped. All right. We've got Wanda Wonder saying hello, 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 and welcome. So I'm just going to be diving into my strategy now. My strategy, what I did first was write out all 25 prompts on one page because I like a one-pager. I think we all do, to be able to focus on something. Stephanie has lots of aids. She has a whole Google spreadsheet that she shared with people where you can put in your books after you've copied and made your own copy, as well as a bingo board, as well as more explanation on the challenges. And I'm definitely using all of that as well as the Discord. But if you want to find those resources for yourself, use the sign up link down below in her video. I'm just going to tell you how I'm thinking about mine. So the highlights are the prompts that I can double up. So there's 25 prompts and you can't double up between the prompts unless it's with one of the blue highlighted ones, which are, I think there's 6. So here we go. Whew. The strategy is that because there's all these elaborate rules, some of them are very specific. And so I'm going to have to like hunt and peck to find the specific titles that will work. So we'll go through those. But some of them can apply to many, many, many books. Like does it start with a letter of the alphabet? Does it have a certain color cover? And so those are going to be like the last thing that I slot in, depending on where I need the check mark, right? So that is like the general overarching strategy. And again, the handy tracker on Google Sheets, the Discord where it is popping. There are so many people chatting and laughing and recommending and answering questions for each other. And it's just lovely. I'm really liking the community she's got. So I'm very excited about that. And looking ahead. So the second part of my strategy, besides like focusing on some things before others, is that I've already got several readathons going. And you probably know this about me because I have a whole category, a whole playlist of readathon themed videos. So some of these include, but are not limited to, other things I'm doing. So I have a Patreon book club pick. So every other month I'm reading a book for my book club. And if I can double dip between that and a double dip in the HRCYED challenge, that would be primo. I've got WITS coming up. So Women in Translation in August. I've got Victober coming up in October, Nonfiction November, as well as Skoden, which is Indigenous themed. We've got, I don't really do anything in December and January, but February, I host the Black AuthorTuber Readathon. So I'm thinking, okay, Black AuthorTubers, there's an AuthorTuber prompt. There's also a read a book in the month it comes out prompt. So I'm sort of strategizing when I'll do those. And my other year-long readathon, which is Climathon. And I almost had forgotten Climathon, but then I thought, oh, crossover. Let me see what I have left in that readathon that I can also double dip with HRCYED. And what's lovely is Well-Traveled Books. Anya just put up a video this morning for Climathon to like remind people because January is a long time ago, I understand. And I had already like totted up my totals because of this readathon. And I think there's 10 or 12 prompts for that one year round. And I only have 4 left. So like I'm doing pretty well for Climathon. I'm well positioned for my home stretch sprint, if you will, if 5 months can be considered a sprint. So yeah, so double dipping, phasing through different prompts, and waiting till the end to do the easiest, because yeah, it'll be easier. so that I don't panic, I suppose. Let's see. If you are curious about the Patreon tiers and you're new here and you haven't heard this before, I'm just going to drop the link in the chat for that. There may be some different things coming up for the Patreon. There may be some different awards and like some changes happening. I was very influenced by the Ream presentation. I'll just say that. And I'm considering doing a different benefit for Ream. So, tell me if you're interested in that. Otherwise, check out what I have on Patreon, which is postcards every month and book club every other month currently. Oh, Amy's here. Let's see. We've also had an Emma Bennett. Hello, hello. And Anita says, if you need not winter Rex, my book, Ghosts of the Sea Moon, is eligible. Ah, sweet. Okay, so there is one. I need a pen. I need a pen. Spiff bow. So Ghosts. Anita Stewart. We're doing it real time, folks. Ghosts of the Sea Moon. All right, so that's a good rec. And that can't go for both Spiffbo prompt and the AuthorTuber prompt, but it may help to narrow down Spiffbo because there's a lot of possibilities there. So thank you, Anita. Amy is here saying, oh, hi, oh, hi. And I've really been debating about doing this challenge. It will be awesome. I mean, it could totally replace the TBR game. I'm just saying, if you're tired of the same thing, you need a little renewal. I need a little rejuvenescence. I found that in a book, in a translated book, and I was like, is that a word? Rejuvenescence. Seriously, translator. Anyway, yes, this is what I'm picking up on and loving right now. Anita says, I believe the cozy fantasy novel Snow Spelled by Stephanie Burgess didn't make the Spiffbo finals either, but it is a great book. All right, so let me put it on here. That name rings a bell. I think that's someone I just followed from Rachel's end. So yeah, great Rex. I'm writing these down. All right. Tag the Troll stopping by for your algo. Hi there. Hi there. Thank you so much. And Sky Winter is also stopping by to say hi and smash the like button. She's in the middle of recording a Patreon video, but I will catch the replay. Ooh, do I get a cameo in the Patreon video? Excellent. I love it. Okay, so we are finally through the strategy. I will just say I have read 2 already. So this started on the 7th. I cottoned on to the idea on the 12th of July, and we are now on the 21st. So it's been 9 days, and I have read 2 books for the challenge already and halfway through the 3rd. So they've all been good. So it's not steering me wrong. I'm pretty happy about it. If you are new here and you've gotten this far and you're curious about the 25 prompts, like the stream, subscribe to the channel, and I will be periodically updating throughout the year, but probably not intensely focused on it after today. We've got a good strategy set up. Oh, but if you see a book, so I will be showing several books as possibilities. If you see a book today that you are interested in buddy reading, let me know in the comments because I do love good buddy read, and I will be actually speaking to buddies on next Sunday about homegoing. RK Stumbling Bear and Katya Weiner are going to join me, and we're going to talk about Homegoing by Yad Gyasi, which we all finally just read. So it's really good all. And no spoilers. So there we go. So yeah, let me know if you want to buddy read any read I mentioned today. Okay. So number 1. Read a 500-page book in one day. So immediately several popped to mind, and I had to go investigate and see whether any of those were actually above 500 pages and whether I thought I could actually complete them in one day. Possibilities include Signature of All Things by Elizabeth Gilbert, which is way backlist, Crystal Cave by Mary Stewart, The Golem and the Ginny, which I still haven't read, which I really should, Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, which is way backlist and maybe replaced by The Heartbeat of Wounded Knee, but I don't know if I can get through that in a day. That is probably wishful thinking. This one, which I would love to buddy read because I'm sure it's going to be a doozy, The Year of the French by Thomas Flanagan. It's an American writer, but it's Irish history and super interesting for the politics in Europe around the times of the Napoleonic Wars. It's 1798, the year they're talking about, which is sort of the background to my current work in progress, where I'm talking about 20 years later, people who fled from the 1798 rebellion's consequences are now finding their lives in Glasgow and various other places in the UK. So would really like help reading this. This is not the first time I have appealed to anyone, but yeah. So that may be one, but I don't know if I'll get through it in a year, in a day or a year. Yeah. The Burning Chambers, that's one on audio I might do. Another possibility, which more likely, is To Shape a Dragon's Breath by Monoquill Blackgoose. This is indigenous fantasy involving dragons, and I'm pretty sure like this will be a page turner that will like I can zip right through and enjoy a lot. So possibility. Or the other one I thought of, and they're all red themed. That's interesting. Red, orange. The Last Thing You Surrender by Leonard Pitts Jr. has been on my wish list for a long time. I finally found a used copy. I've heard very good things about it. It's historical fiction, and the tagline is, let's see, it's a story of our nation at war with itself as well as tyranny across the globe. Sound familiar? It's an American tapestry of hatred, compassion, fear, courage, and cruelties leavened with the promise of triumph. This is a quote from James Benn. I think it's around World War II. Yes, and it's to do with race and World War II and interesting conflicts. So that might be a one-day read over 500 pages, but who knows? So that one I'm not concerned about doing right away. People in the Discord are trying to do this and one of the other time-limited prompts right away. And I am focusing more on finishing my second draft right now. So my daily attention is not going to be consumed by books. Like I'm doing steady bits of books, but not like a whole ass day, as they say. Let's see. Amy says, I need to read The Golem and the Ginny. All right. So let's see. Where did I put that? Amy. You said it. Now you can't take it back. So we'll see if we can find a month, because that would be great. Jim says, I tried to read Jane Eyre in a day and failed. Read about 75%. I rarely read a book in a day. Yeah, it would really require some planning, I think, at this point in my life. I agree. The book I'm reading now, Black Leopard, Red Wolf, is 620 pages, but there's no way I can read it in one day. That does seem a bit far-fetched. I agree. 500 plus in one day is definitely the prompt that intimidates me the most. Yeah. So not worrying about that one till later, because I think one day, not when I'm brain dead because I can't focus, but maybe like in between as a reward when I'm on the publishing journey later this year, maybe that'd work. Or when I'm on a really long plane ride. But no, that's not going to be long enough because I don't read books at a high speed. Yeah, so I'll have to think about this one. Prompt number 2 is a highlighted one, so it can double dip, and it's just a book from A to Z challenge. So either the first word in the title, that's not the or a or an, or the first letter in any of the author's names. So for The Last Thing You Surrender, that would be L. There we go. Or L or P or J in a pinch. But yeah. So basically, I have put down the specific titles I'm looking for any of these prompts. And then I put down anything they might qualify for, so that when I get into the second round of like, okay, I need to slot these in where they fit and where they do the most good, I guess, I can see how many I have and which weird letters are left out or whatever. So A to Z, not worrying about that now. Problem for future Margaret. Prompt number 3, a book plus 3 blurbed books. So basically, she's asked us to, if I'm reading this one, Leonard Pitts Jr. has James R. Benn. It's a bunch of publications. His other book has other blurbs from different people. Normally there's a few pages of praise in the beginning, but every time I look for that, a book doesn't have it these days. So like I did look through a few of these, and my strategy for this prompt is not too worried about it. I think it'll take longer to work through these. It won't be like all at once. But I've got several historical fiction shelves full of people who have blurbed each other's books. So my overall goal is always first to see if I have something to read off my shelf first. And I'm pretty sure I've got enough related books in the historical fiction, either 20th century or 19th century, people who have blurbed each other or that I also have the blurbs of, that like could work for this. So not overly worried about doing that soon. Prompt number 4, 3 garage sale books. Again, problem for future Margaret. Garage sale is Qwordy's prompt that is trying to get at like person-to-person transmission of books. So not at a used bookstore. And, you know, she allows for, if you don't have garage sales or in your area, you might be doing this at a flea market or a bookstore or whatever. But like I go to used bookstores all the time. So that's not really a challenge for me. So I think what I'm looking to do for this is like a book swap or a borrow or a garage sale, although I don't go to garage sales. So just honoring the intention of having it be a person-to-person exchange rather than a faceless but independent bookstore. So 3 of those. I don't think that'll be too hard. Yeah, don't laugh at me. Prompt number 5, 5 books from 5 author tubers who have less than 5,000 subscribers. This was an easy one. So I've got, oh, Jenny Noble just popped in. Hey, fellow author tuber. Funny you popped in on your prompt. Yes, no takebacks. So yeah, Ginny in the title of the book we were talking about, and then Ginny comes in. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Google's laughing at us now, I think. The listening Google. Amy says, gosh, I haven't been to a garage sale in a while. Yeah. The last thing I have to say about a garage sale is that I watched a very bad Hallmark movie about garage sale murders when I was at my sister's in June or March. And that's the last time I thought about garage sales. So we've got another author tuber in the house. Author JC. Hello. Oh, heck, I have a whole bag of books from my friend Margaret. Yeah, I mean, I would consider that a garage sale kind of experience, even though no money changed hands. So yeah, so like the person-to-person connection. Those were not bad movies. I love those movies. To each your own. And we've got a cat paw in the house. She'll be right back with coffee. Sounds good. So from author tubers less than 5,000 subscribers, I actually, again, first thought is, what do I have already? And then I reserved a spot. So here's what I have. I've got Sedona Venez Gunner, which is like a fantasy pirate adventure I have. I've got Inca York's Secrets in the Door, I believe. I've got Only Human by J.D. Estrada, which is the start of the trilogy. And I've got Paget Farmer's Murder something, Juniper. I can't remember the full title is, but these are my notes that I put in very tiny type. So that's 4 author tubers I've already got. And I'm reserving a space because, as I said, I know I'll have the Black Author Tuber Readathon in February. And so like that would be a perfect fit. I think I've read all the Black Author Tubers books that I have now because that's a very useful readathon. But this is a good way to work in other folks that are author tubers that I just haven't read their books. They're just sitting on my Kindle or my Kobo. So that's an easy one for me. There's a recommendations channel or thread in the Discord for the readathon, HRCYED readathon, and lots of people popping in helpful answers. I will say, if you are doing this challenge, I would qualify. You could read any of my books for this challenge. I have way less than 5,000 subscribers, and I have 6 books out. So the different flavors, if you are curious and want to try one. Prompt number 6. I've got to start and finish a book series that has at least 4 books in it. Okay, so I'm doing the least, right? So I'm looking for a series with 4 books in it that is already on my list or on my shelf. And I came up with this one. Oh. I think my mom read it and said it was pretty good. The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. And it is finished. And I think it just has 4. Finished recently, I believe. And I'm always down for a good murder mystery. It sounds cute. I think it's like an elderly murder mystery solver, but not totally cozy. More of a like sharp, dry humor, which is more my thing. And I can get the rest from the library. So like that seemed pretty accessible to me. And I'm probably going to be starting this pretty soon so that I can get to the other 3 in time for the whole readathon, because it goes for the year. It'll end in July 6th, right before Qwordy's birthday. Let's see. Prompt number 7. 5 books recommended by 5 booktubers who have less than 5,000 subscribers. Sorry. So this is also an easy one. I was very excited about this because one of the things I do on my story graph is whenever I have a book that I'm adding to my wish list or possibilities that I get from Booktube, I tag it with the name of the Booktube channel. So I am never at a loss to remember who recommended that to me. Some of them have multiple because they get on there once and then they get recommended a second time and I go, oh, 2 of these people recommend, maybe I should get on that. So I have plenty of labels in my story graph to tell me what booktubers have recommended, and the majority of them are less than 5,000 subscribers. So no problem there. Some of them, one of them I've already read, and that is from my Blackwell's book haul. It's A Lady's Guide to Fortune Hunting by Sophie Irwin. And this was recommended well, I don't have it up. Let's see. Story graph. I can tell you if I pop onto my story graph and look at my labels. So the labels are Blackwell's, where I got it, HRCYED, and Words of Clover. So Aoife at Words of Clover, who is just under 5,000, I did check, is the one who recommended this to me, and I absolutely loved it. I'm actually giving it 5 stars, which I have not done for a book for a while. So second book I read for the challenge, success. Very, very good. Other booktubers recs I have come up. I'm finding my way back to my tab here. Let's see. So Sophie Irwin, I've got The End of Policing, which I have on my floor. To Shape a Dragon's Breath, which I talked about before, is also a recommendation. Sparrow by Maria Doria Russell is a recommendation. Fireheart Tiger, The Memory Librarian, by Janelle Monáe, sorry. Salt to the Sea, which is historical, and Last Thing You Surrender, also a booktube recommendation. So like a lot of the books I've gotten recently have been booktuber recommendations, so I'm set for this one. If you need a booktuber recommendation, you can visit my review playlist where I talk about all the books that I love, and hopefully you'd find something there if we have the same taste. So yeah, that one's going to be easy. So we're up to prompt 7. Let me make sure I haven't forgotten anything. Oh, okay. I will put this in. No, I'll wait till the rainbow prompt. Okay. I'm good to go. Let me check. I haven't forgotten anyone in the chat. JC says, now, were they predictable? Yes, but it's Hallmark. So, yeah. To me, the thing that bugs me about Hallmark is not predictable, because I read romance and mystery and they're predictable. It's the smarminess of the acting. I just can't take it, JC. It's okay. It's okay. It's fine. The non-realism of the richness. Like, that's what I just don't like being pushed on people. Amy says, I know of at least one of my subscribers who has purchased your book for this challenge. That's amazing. That's so cool. Oh, okay. I'm starting that. It's not going to do anything. It's just, I love that comment. That's awesome. That makes me very happy. Thank you for letting me know, Amy. The Sparrow is one of my favorite books. I don't think it's recommended by you. Let's see. Sparrow. Another one of Maria Doria Russell's book is one of my favorites. It's on my favorites shelf. No, it is you. It is you. Your name is on it. Amy A-Star Reads. There we go. Claim it, girl. Cool. So your name is on that. Maybe that will be filtered into my booktuber prompt. Oh my gosh, the sparrow is what got me into sci-fi, says Cat Paw. Wow. Okay. That's a good vote. I get that, Margaret. Yeah. Yeah. Melissa says smarminess is a word I'm always happy to use and hear. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know last time I used it, but it's definitely that. JC says, would your short story book count for this challenge? Yeah, it's not limited to type of book. There's nothing related to format or there are stuff related to the length of the book. So you wouldn't be able to do it for a few of the prompts. But for the author tuber prompt, yeah, definitely a 100-page book would work. So Fabled Passages, which is my collection of short stories, would count for this prompt number 5. Yeah. That's so awesome, Amy. Yay! Yay! Sweet. Okay. So moving on. Prompt number 8, 5 books set in or by an author from not, this is kind of hard to word, but not the UK, US, or Canada. So basically, Qwordy is pointing out the fact that those are where publishing dominates the white people experience in those countries. So like get out of that mindset, try something new. Australia lags far behind, so like definitely go for Australia, New Zealand if you need English that isn't translated. I don't know. But I have already read one for this prompt, which is on Libro, so I don't have it to hold up, but oh no, sorry. I just finished Zola on Libro, and I started it before the challenge, so it doesn't count. But here's my next book that will count that's set in France. So it's The Life of Henri Brulard by Stendhal, which is a pen name, and it's apparently quite an autobiographical book. It's a maybe naturalist, romantic, 19th century French fiction, and it's part of a vlog I'm working on. So I read the Zola, which is Money, highly natural and anti-capitalist novel, very long, took me forever. This hopefully will be shorter, and I'm also going to read a Balzac, so Brian will be happy. And now, of course, Brian will waltz in, I'm sure. But I just wanted to compare these 3 19th century French great writers and see, like, because I'd sort of had this very vague sensation of what they were like. I know more about 17th century French writers from majoring in French. So I'm very excited because 19th century is my century. So like, why did I never study the French authors from that century? I don't know, but we're rectifying that with a vlog, which will take a long time. But this is the next book for the vlog, and this will count for HRCYED. So yay. Set in France, obviously. Mid-19th century. So there's that. I've also got another one planned that's set in Germany. And again, it's Europe. So I mean, it's not those 3 places she mentioned, but it is sort of out of the way, and authors many people haven't read or heard of. I just picked up a really interesting book that's set in Singapore by a Singapore author. It's translated. So there's lots of possibilities for that one. It's going to be at the end, because I'll probably read a dozen books that are set not in those places and can pick and choose. So that's one of the benefits of reading diversely. What can I say? All right, so set in other places is number 8. Number 9 is our next highlighted prompt, which is the queer rainbow. So all of the letters in the queer alphabet, LGBTQ, 1, 2, 3, 4, IA, LGBTQIA. That's 7. It's 7 books, 1 for each, and the protagonist has to be from that community. So very cool. And here's my recommendation for this one that I wanted to point out to everybody. This is a purple cover. It's also from my friend Neil Cochran. It's called The Story of the 100 Promises, a beautiful novel. I'll read you a little bit about it. Trans sailor Dara Thorne has made a comfortable life for himself among people who love and accept him. 10 years after his exile from home, though, his sister asks him to reconcile with their ailing father. Determined to resolve his feelings rather than just survive them, Dara sets off on a quest to find the one person who can heal a half-dead man, the mysterious enchanter who once gave him the magic he needed to become his true self. And there's more. But Why I'm bringing this up is because I just got Neil's newsletter, and it was an appeal for some Ko-fi tips and some reviews for the book and buying the book, etc. So I thought this was a very appropriate video to pimp this book and say, if you like small press, if you like fantasy, if you need something for this prompt that is from a trans character, I haven't read it yet. This is a little embarrassing, but I'm going to read this for the challenge. So perhaps it worked out perfectly. But yeah, this is my friend's book, and it's been on several TBRs, and I just like, it's a big one. So I guess I just needed a little bit of a push, and I will be reading and reviewing and recommending. And so I would love to push this out to you folks as my audience to check it out as well. Neil is someone who I met through working at an independent bookstore. So there's automatically a recommendation. They still work at an independent bookstore, but they've also got really cool projects. I've read 2 of their earlier books, which are not available because they're out of print, that were indie published. But this is the small press published by a local press, Forest Avenue Press, whom we love. And I think they're currently working on a cross-dressing / trans retelling of Twelfth Night, I believe. But Neil does a lot of projects and like dips in and out, and has done a play and has done like way lots of projects. So I wanted to recommend, shout out, and support this lovely creator. He doesn't have a YouTube channel, but he's on TikTok. So if you're a TikTok person, you can definitely find Neil Cochran there. And that is the link if you want to buy it through my bookshop, which is just like tipping me for bringing this lovely fantasy book to your attention. Let's see. Ooh, okay. Leslie is here. Hello, good morning, my friend. Good Sunday morning. Melissa says Zola is work to read. Yeah, even in an audiobook, I'm telling you, it's just forever. And I heard Balzac. Oh, nice. Okay, so you and Brian should get along. Like that's his profile pic, is a pic of Balzac. Ooh, we're getting a Margaret vlog. Yes. You might be getting one on Wednesday because I did just take a trip to Bellingham. Lots of bookstores, lots of ice cream, lots of water. It was really pretty. If I can get that together for Wednesday. If not, it'll be something else. Jim says the authors of the 3 books I'm currently reading are from Jamaica, Japan, and Norway. So all outside of the US, UK, and Canada. See? We're diversifying our shelves, and I knew it would pay off someday. That's a joke. N plus fold. Hello. The Youngest Doll by Rosario Ferre. Short stories. Love the Dust Garden. Okay, this might be a recommendation for one of the prompts. I'm not sure, but welcome to the conversation. Anita says Lee Murray is from New Zealand and a brilliant writer. She writes creepy stuff, but not scary and often very female-centric. Okay. Creepy, but not scary. All right. There is a genre prompt later on. So let me put this one down for that. All right, cool. Thank you. Oh, here we go. It's for prompt 8, which is set in non-UK, US, Canada. Okay. Rosario Ferre is not from those places. Cool. Thank you. The link to Neil's book, Story of 100 Promises, definitely would love to like have a little raid happen on my friend's Ko-fi or just their book being purchased from Bookshop. That would be amazing if any of y'all feel compelled. Jim says Willow Heath's book Managing and Other Lives came out last Monday. Collection of 6 queer horror stories that ticks the T-box too. Oh, nice. Okay. Willow Heath. I don't know them. How did you find them? Are they an author tuber? Managing and Other Lives. Oh no, maybe you found them from NetGalley. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, Amy's like, hooray, Bellingham. Oh my gosh, it was so amazing, Amy. I'm sorry you were not there to meet up with, but I guess I'll have to be back. Allison and I did not want to leave. We were both like, do we have to? It was really, really cool. Willow was a booktuber. Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Okay. All right. So we continue. Prompt number. That was 9. That was rainbow. That was queer. So different protagonist identities. Okay. That can also double up. I have mapped some of these out because they are not as frequent on my shelf. So I did have to be more specific because you also don't know always the identity of the protagonist. But the book I'm currently reading is a Libro.fm audiobook, and it's called The Key to You and Me. And I think it's going to work for the questioning prompt, the Q. And it's very cute. It's a YA romance, and it's got horse girls in it. And like, I'm actually enjoying it rather than being frustrated by the YA-ness of it all. Although the narrators are not my favorite picks, but that's okay. That's all right. The story is good. Okay, number 10. 5 books with the lowest average rating. Now, this is one that I thought I might need a little help with because when I went onto the story graph and I went to read, even though that was just a mess of importing and it's not actually in my to read list, and so I've just been quietly taking everything off that list. There's no sort by lowest or highest average rating because Storygraph doesn't really do that. So I was like, do I go back to Goodreads and I'll like my very, very old to read list because that would be a trip? Or do I try to do something with like picking out my owned books and then like a low rating? I wasn't sure. I asked on the Discord for HRCYED's challenge, and Qwordy actually responded. She's very quick. You can kind of pick and choose from your TBR. I don't know Storygraph's functionality because I don't use it, but basically picking 5 books under the 3.5 star rating would suffice. So I was like, cool. So that gives me a little bit more flexibility. I haven't decided on these yet. I'm like, what is the strategy for this? Because if you think it's not going to be a good book because the rating is low, like, are you trying to look through low rating books and see one that like other people likes but other people don't like but has your name on it? Like, I don't know, like something random. Yeah, like I've got plenty of random books, but lowest rated. So I'll have to think about this one. I haven't strategized it yet. But again, future Margaret's problem. Number 11, an indie book bought and reviewed. Okay. So of course I do buy indie books for various readathons, etc. But since this one came to mind and Wits is coming up, this is one that's going to double dip for another readathon and be a local author. So Kristen Hall Geisler is someone who was at a local author event that I volunteered at, I believe, last fall. And she translated this very old book called Voyage Around My Room by Xavier de Maistre. And it was a plague novel. Was it a plague novel? No, it was, he was fined for something and like under house arrest. That's what it was. And to flaunt the fact that he didn't think this was a fair punishment, or just to flaunt that he didn't care, he wrote a book about being a tourist in his own room, in his own house, right? And this is a French dude from, I think, the 18th century. And Kristen Hall Geisler has translated it. She's a local author, and I thought that's so cool. So this will be Women in Translation readathon, as well as bought from an indie author, because I bought her book that day at the fair, and she seemed great. So like that was pretty exciting. Yes, and we love a double dip. So translated and local author. Then I've got prompt number 12, one from the local author section of an indie bookstore. So I did go to several bookstores in Bellingham, but actually I was kind of disappointed by the local author section in Village Books. But I have another trip coming up, which is August. I'm going to Missouri, and I definitely have at least one bookstore on my list, and I'm pretty sure I will be finding something in their local author section, asking for recommendations at Skylark Bookstore. So this is not a hard one for me. I'm not worried about this one. I buy books like it's going out of style. So yeah, it's a treat yourself situation in Columbia, Missouri. And if you know, you know. So I'm excited for that one. Prompt number 13 is the third highlighted double dip section. It's books to spell out my name. So Margaret Pinard. I don't have to do the middle name, which is 14 letters, 14 books. You can't double dip within the name, 14 books. And you can double dip with other prompts. So this is another one like the alphabet where I'm like, I'm just going to wait until the end to see what I have to slot and not worried about it. 2 A's, 2 R's. So like S and C, that doesn't work. R, O, T. Well, the R would work. So basically it's just like looking at the ones that I'm already reading for the challenge and checking off the ones that have extra letters, because Margaret Pinard has a lot of A's and R's, as well as the alphabet challenge. So yeah, I'm just holding that in my back pocket and should be doable as long as I use that tracker spreadsheet. Prompt number 14, we've got, oh, okay, Leslie's saying she knows Willow Heath. They have a YouTube channel. Excellent. Jim says 6 stories, 5 are about the trans experience. Only the last one, Little Blue Sticky Note, isn't about the trans experience. I rated the book 4 out of 5. Nice. Good to know. Okay, another rec, but I'm also gonna pimp this book because they need money. They're changing house, and like the house has been on the market, and like their husband's going back to school, and like a lot of things have happened. So I really wanted to help focus attention on Neil's book for a little bit. Nita says the ratings one is a bit subjective. Books can have different average ratings across sites. Yeah, exactly. So I don't think I'm going to put the effort in to try to game it. I think I'll just look and see if any of my wish list books have under 3.5. I'll be like, cool. That's, I fly in the face of other people's ratings. I don't really care. So yeah, the flexibility helps. Melissa says, being a tourist in my own home. I relate to that from those earlier days of COVID. Sounds like a great read. Yeah, and it's a short one. So it's like, you know, like should be interesting to think about. Prompt number 14. Okay, here's the Spiffbo one. 5 books from previous Spiffbo years, not finalists and not winners. So Anita has given me Ghosts of Sea Moon and a Stephanie Burgess Snow Spelled. I've also got the website open, and did I write it down somewhere? Yes. Okay, so this is the one sheet I said at the beginning, but before I figured out my strategy, I was also like coming at it from all directions. So I'll come to that last. I did my name. So I was looking up the letters in my name, and I said double up. I've got other things I'll come back to. I've got the alphabet. I started listing some of the ebooks that I had. I listed the indie books that I had as ebooks on Kobo and Kindle, and like what letters they would be. And I was looking at the new releases, which since I don't buy a lot of new releases, that would basically be the AuthorTuber prompt because I'm supporting friends, or Libro.fm's advanced listening copies, which is what my first read for the readathon was. It was called Democracy in Retrograde. It was an audiobook, and it was a shorter audiobook about how to join in and be an engaged citizen if like you just can't, if you're just overwhelmed and exhausted, part of the exhausted majority. And it was pretty good. So like that was a good one. These are the ones that I looked at for the queer rainbow, where I was trying to determine the identity of the protagonist, which isn't always easy to judge from the outside. So I've got several possibilities there from my shelves and my devices. This is the 4 or more book series that I decided on. And then this is my sheet that's basically just doubling from the tracker spreadsheet of like, I'm going to start. Here we go. And so yeah, so I said I've read Democracy in Retrograde, that's in blue. I've read A Lady's Guide to Fortune Hunting, that's in blue. I have Yinka, Where Is Your Husband, which is going to be my Patreon book club read for August. So Lizzie Damilola Blackburn, this looked like an interesting book to the group. So that's on my list, double dip Patreon and HRCYED. Henry Brulard. This is going to be double up French vlog / HRCYED. I've got an August release on Libro, The Sorceress Comes to Call, I think. I've got Voyage Around My Room for Wits. I've also got this one for Wits. It's written by Sasa Stanisic, who's a Bosnian Herzegovinian author, a man, but the translator is Anthea Bell, who is a woman. And so I think that qualifies if the translator is a woman, not sure. But this has been sitting on my shelf for quite a while. It's set in Germany, so it might also work for the German prompt. But yeah, double dip Wits and HRCYED. So like, this is the fun puzzle brain that just captivated me a couple Fridays ago. And I was just like all up in this calculating, double dipping nonsense for like 3 hours. It was a little excessive. We've got Only Human for the author tuber prompt. We've got The Key to You and Me for the questioning, or lesbian, like I didn't know before I started reading it. What else? What was I on? I was on Spiffbo. Okay. So where did I write down? I thought I started writing down Spiffbo. I did not. Or I did not where I can see it now. Anyway, where did I? Wait. I did. Okay, we don't have to solve that problem now. I wrote it down somewhere. I'll find it eventually. So that prompt is fantasy written by indie authors. Doesn't necessarily need to be new release. It's nominated, it's picked at random, and then it's reviewed and voted on. So kind of like a People's Choice Awards. And I've always been sort of overwhelmed by the process and sort of turned off by award rankings stuff. And I've never touched that, like the Booktube prize, like any of those things. I'm allergic to hype. So like I've stayed away from all that, but this is like inviting me in to get involved. And with Anita's help, like I may actually read some of these. I may even pick up some of the recs from Rachel that are SPS FBO, the science fiction side, because she had some good recommendations. So that's good. That's accomplishing diversifying the shelf, which is always the goal. Prompt number 15 is a completed webcomic, and there were a couple sites named. I don't really know anything about webcomics, so that is TBD. The question mark is there. If you've got recommendations for that, please let me know in the comments. Prompt number 16 is the fourth double up. It's 12 new releases read in the month they're released. So Democracy in Retrograde is one completed for that prompt. And the next one is The Sorceress Comes to Call, which is another Libro.fm for August. So I will probably be using Libro as the new releases because those are the only ones I get, or the author tubers for that one. And I made a note on my author tuber prompt. This is where it gets a little conspiracy theorist, like my papers. But the future for that one, I've got Des LeRae, if they have a release during a month where I can read. T.L. Russ, Tiffany Russell, Sky Winter, Eloise Barr, Emma Bennett. These are all people who may have releases during the month that, because it's a double dip, I can do 2 prompts with that one, which should be cool. So yeah, prompt number 17, one book published in the year I was born, 1981, that was in the top 10 for 1981. And there were a bunch of diet books, and I was like, no. So some of the possibilities are a James Herriot book, The Lord God Made Them All, a Shel Silverstein book, The Light in the Attic, Clan of the Cave Bear by Jean Auel, Tar Baby by Toni Morrison, Trade Winds by MMK, who's an author who I haven't read yet that I've heard good things about. Big chunker stuff. But the one I think I will go with, and will be a treat yourself type book, is Unfinished Tales by J.R.R. Tolkien. So this would be a way to dip back into the Lord of the Rings universe. I've never had a copy of this. I would have to find one, but it was in the top 10 during one of the weeks of 1981. So I may just have to pull the trigger on that one. Yeah, long time ago, people. Prompt number 18, a 24-hour reading of 3 books where at least one has to be longer than 300 pages and a novel. Very specific. Again, a lot of thought put into this, a lot of work to highlight different types of books. So I definitely recommend using the Ko-fi link below to help give a tip to Stephanie Gillis. I haven't planned this. This will definitely be like a planned thing. So the 500-page book and the 3 books in one day, I'm sure I can find shorter books or shorter audiobooks that will work for the other 2, but a 300-page book that I will tear through will probably be a romance or a mystery when I'm feeling the need for a romance or a mystery, which is all the time. So not too worried about it. Just got to find the right day when no one will make a demand on my time. So Jim says managing and other lies. Oh, the 4 out of 5. Yeah, I got that. Anita says Spiffbo is a great competition and a wonderful community, and even if you don't win, you generally get some attention and a book boost out of it, which is great. Which is probably better than newsletter swap, maybe. Jenny says, I have book 3 coming out in September. Hint, hint. So yes, author tuber prompt, Jenny Noble. Way to go. Congratulations. I'm going to try to publish this year. I don't have a date yet. JC says, I have a book coming out the last day of this month also. Hint, hint. Yes, excellent. So that could be the July release. Very, very good. So that could count for July and author tuber, which is great. Anita says, Catherine D. Graham from the AWC had books in Spiffbo as well. Is she the one who is behind Autocrit? She the one that gave the presentation for Autocrit? I think that's where that name comes from. Excellent. Good recommendations. Amy says, the 80s and 90s were the years of the diet book. Yeah, I was like, Richard Simmons' diet book is in the top 10 for weeks and weeks and weeks. I'm not doing it. Oh boy, the 24-hour challenge is another intimidating one. Yeah, I think if you have one 300-page novel that is a good page turner, you can make the other ones short. Short stories. I don't know, like a short nonfiction. I don't know. I've got short books laying around just for this type of thing. No, I don't, but I could find some. Clan of the Cave Bear is 516 pages if you want to read a 500-page book in a day. Except the birth year prompt and the 500-page prompt are not double dipable, so that wouldn't work. That's where my handy one-pager is very handy. Yes, and we guessed it on her channel too. Yes, cool. Autocrit, yay! She was really nice. I didn't know her before, and I haven't heard from her since. So that was kind of a whirlwind for the AWC. Let's see, prompt number 19. One book that contains a recipe that is not a recipe book, which is kind of weird, and make the recipe. So I thought I had this made with what book did I just read? I read a book where it referred, this one. This one had a receipt for a migraine being written out and given to somebody, but she didn't list the recipe, so I can't use it. But I was like, oh, so close. But I assume when I go through like one of these romances or historical fictions will have a recipe and I'll be able to use that. I hope it's not too hard. But yeah, so this one, I don't have a specific clue. I don't think this is really something you can look for. If it's not a recipe book, but it has a recipe, it's not going to be in the marketing, I don't think. So we'll see. We'll see what other people end up doing for this one. Number 20 is the 5th double dip highlight here. It's the genre challenge. So one from each genre, which Stephanie defines as fantasy, sci-fi, mystery or thriller, horror, historical fiction, romance, nonfiction, and literary fiction. So that's 8 in total. Not a problem. I will probably work through these in the next month. But double dipping, remembering, don't use a letter that I need for the alphabet, etc., etc. Prompt number 21. We're almost done. A book you backed on Kickstarter or other crowdfunding platform. So I don't know about this. I assume the intent of the prompt is covered if I was on Ream or something and I got a book from a different platform. or a Patreon author that I support. But I haven't gotten involved in many of these. It's just when friends have done it that I've like chipped in a little bit, because I can't do book boxes. I can't do like big expensive tiers. So yeah, this is sort of floating out there that if I see a cool one, then like I'll be balancing. I'll be weighing whether it's worth that much money. I know it costs that much money to put on and meet the benefits. I just don't know if I can like justify spending that much money for a fancy book box or whatever. So we'll see if I have friends who are on Kickstarter or Ream or any of the other crowdfunding sites, and it looks like a good fit. So prompt number 22 is the last double dip, and this is the rainbow cover prompt. So it's a little different than the real rainbow. Roy G. Biv, so red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, pink, white, black, brown. So I've got the pink one is done because this couldn't be anything but pink. It's pretty cool. I don't know about the others. This might be a good blue one. Some pretty books. This is definitely a good one for purple. Very, very purple. But you know, you can't do like, oh, this is white and orange or white and brown. You can only do one color per cover. I did find this, which would work for the brown prompt, which I don't know is that common. And this will also double dip for Climathon. So as I mentioned earlier, Climathon is the other year-long reading challenge that I'm doing. And I have 4 more prompts to do. I've satisfied, I think, almost all 12. And this might be on the list. Encounters with the Archdruid by John McPhee. And so far, I started it. I'm like 17 pages in. It's interesting. He's comparing 3 people who are on a walk in Glacier National Park, and their differing viewpoints. One is a conservationist, and one is a like geologist who surveys for mining, which is the opposite. And the third one is something else. And I'm like, where's this going? I don't know, but I'm very intrigued by the Archdruid in the title. So, but yeah, so that's a possibility for brown, and you know, lots of cool things. That's going to be an easy one. That's going to be like a do at the end to try to get all the colors. That's 10 books. Prompt number 23, read a classic and an adaptation of it. Oh, I forgot to get this from my room. So when it said adaptation, I thought, oh, retelling. Okay. I definitely have some retellings. And the ones that I haven't read, the one that I thought it would be good to read is Sister Song by Lucy Holland, which may also work for the queer rainbow. I don't know, but I think it does have queer representation, but I don't know which for the protagonist. So Sister Song is actually a retelling of a folk ballad. So I'll have to figure out how to read the folk ballad in book form. But there's an English folk ballad called Trois Sisters, and I'm very curious. I love folklore, history of it, retelling of it, weaving it into fantasy, especially for different cultural groups. I'm very excited about this, even though it's going to be a little dicey to try to figure out how to read a book. But that's the plan. We'll see if it works. Prompt number 24, 3 books where protagonist names are people you know or yourself. So I got to find something with a Margaret in it, and a couple other books where I know people with the same name. So I don't know a Yinka. I don't know an Henri. Do we have anything else with names in the title? No, not right to hand. Oh, okay, here's one. The last prompt is about seasons, and I realized, oh, do I have any Victober possibilities that are set in the fall? Because October is the fall, and that's when you're supposed to read it. So I came up with one of these 2, which are Victorian books. A William Dean Howells, which I've been trying to read for a while and hasn't happened, or a new book I picked up by William Wells Brown, and it does have the person's name, Clotel, but I don't know a Clotel, so that doesn't really help me with that prompt. But yeah, so that's the last prompt. So names of people I know or myself will probably be pretty easy. And 25 is 1 book for each season set in that season. So if it's a fall book, you read it in the fall. If it's a winter book, you read it in the winter, etc. And I've had a few ideas for those, which I'm reading the summer one right now, which is the Questioning or Lesbian Representation, The Key to You and Me by J. Robin Brown. very good story so far. I'm halfway through. Barbara Pym Quartet for the fall, maybe, or Victober book for the fall. The winter one, I probably will double dip with the Black Author Tuber Readathon because that's in February. And spring, I don't have an idea. But the last notes I have on here are for the crossover with Climathon, and some of those ideas are my remaining prompts I have to fulfill are oceans. So Seaweed Chronicles, which has a pretty blue cover, so maybe that'll be my blue book. Having to do with food, which I don't know, this talks about a feast, but it's all about the night before the feast. So I don't know how much feasting there is. Maybe there's a recipe in here and I'll have to choose which prompt it works for. I don't know. So there's that. Earth, which I think Archdruid with a mining engineer going through Glacier will probably satisfy, but it's weird so far. So who knows? And is that it? Just those three? I guess I only have 3 remaining prompts. Oceans, food, and earth. So yeah, so trying to double dip. And yeah, that's the strategy. That's what I've mapped out so far. Those are the possibilities. If you want to buddy read with me, those are the people that I'm trying to shout out this time. So if you can help them all financially, contribute to their Ko-fi, contribute to Stephanie's Ko-fi. The links are down below or in the chat. And yeah, this is me. This is, I don't know, maybe ADHD brain, who knows, but like very excited about a puzzle and wanting to like get in there and double dip as efficiently as possible. Because if you add up all the books, it's 133, which is more than I normally read in a year. It's about my whole reading for the year. So I definitely need to double dip and be careful to satisfy all those prompts. But yeah, just very exciting and so cool that someone put all this work. Like, think about that, all this work. So I'm just very excited that I'm going to be jumping in to join this challenge. If you want to read 1 or 2 or 3 of these with me and diversify your shelf in the indie author direction or the queer community connection direction, you know what I mean, then join me. And let me know which one you're interested in down in the comments. It's been a pleasure. Any last comments or thoughts? Amy says, I do love when books have recipes in them. Yeah, I may have to opt for like a nature apathy or homeopathy book. I don't know. Anita says, Esty Houston's book should qualify. She's got a new one coming up. Is it the second in the series? Because last I heard, she hadn't edited it to her satisfaction. So I will be waiting to hear from the newsletter. If that is coming out soon, that would be great. Andy stopped by to say hello. And Jim says, good luck with the challenge. Too much for me. Yeah, well, we have a year. So this is why I'm feeling not overwhelmed, but just like stimulated to a good degree, which is perfect. So that is it for us today. I forgot to put up any of the banners. Welcome to the live stream. Don't forget to subscribe and like today. Thank you. Stephanie Gillis, fantasy author, YouTuber at Qwordy would love your attention and subscription. We're done with questions. We love Libro.fm, and there we are. Thank you for being part of this reading community. I'll be back on Wednesday, either with a vlog or with something else, and then back here on Sunday with RK Stumbling Bear and Katya Weinert, Page Turners with Katya, to discuss Homegoing by Yad Gyasi. I read this before HRCYED, so it won't be applying to the challenge for a red cover or anything, but it was a delightful book and delightful buddy read. So that is us topping out at a little past an hour today. Thank you all for joining me. Happy reading. Take care of yourselves and see you again soon.